Hey guys, and welcome back to the first episode of the Too Heavy Wrestling Podcast of 2024. Zach and the air horns. God, I hope they were there. All right. As always, we got a full house today. We have Clayton, myself, Randy, we have Eddie, and we have Zach ready to talk about a lot of cool stuff. The first week of WWE wrestling in 2024 was a pretty good week. Raw Day 1, a stacked Smackdown. But before all that, we took a break. And over that break, a lot of cool stuff happened. But the big thing we need to talk about is everything going on with CM Punk right now. What are we thinking about that? How we feeling?
He's there.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Your
He's
live
there.
reaction was very telling. Has your opinion changed at all since Survivor Series?
No. He's still there, you know? He's there.
You were the most talked about in our reaction video, so...
It's not like he won't do good. Look, when I reacted the way I did, in no way did I say he was a bad wrestler. He's a great wrestler. Could he be considered the best in the world? No, to me. Not now. At one point, he was the best in the world.
Why the laugh?
Best in the world based upon what? I'll give you
His
best
own
in
gimmick?
WWE because, you know, low-hanging fruit. It's not
Of the time.
It's not hard to be the best in WWE, but
I'll give you, he was the best in the world at being an indies wrestler.
Being the indie guy on the main show.
Yeah, exactly.
That was his thing.
Out of everybody's
most.
reaction in the video, no one talked about mine. Everyone's seen the negative out of our reaction.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I was genuinely excited.
You and I were a little bit hyped because I was indifferent going into the whole pay-per-view because I think as much as I hate it, backstage politics is important in the wrestling industry, and a lot of the stuff that he did backstage was, well, I shouldn't say things that he did, but things that he was a part of were not great, much to Eddie's point. But I am very much a look, if we're going to do it, let's just clean slate and see how it goes from the beginning. Let's benefit of the doubt kind of deal. And
Well,
so
let's talk about this then, because a lot of people were, hearing the whole he has a clause in his contract. That's why he's even acting okay right now. But, like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that's came from his return has been fairly genuine, whether it's been a part of his contract, quote unquote, or not.
I don't even know what clause you're talking about.
But I think that was the same thing with AEW, if I'm kind of interpreting it the proper way. Like the wholesome stuff that him and Cora Jade are doing or whatever, like where he's like taking them under their wing, or like this father-daughter stuff I've seen. He kind of did the same thing as soon as he got to AEW too. My reaction was based off of, I don't like when people go out of their way for no reason. Maybe not no reason, but when people go out of their way to bury young talent. Now, this has nothing to do with Kenny Omega Young Bucks thing. This is more the Jack Perry situation, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, that's just ridiculous, in my opinion.
Well, and I saw a lot of the videos that was comparing his first promo in AEW, or one of his first promos in AEW, when he said he was ready to work with young, hungry talent and excited to wrestle the future. And then during one of the media scrums was like, I work with children.
Yep.
I was like, that's literally contradictive. But again, for his WWE run, I was excited to see him back enough just because the wrestling fan in me just loves to forget things like that and clean slate. Let's just see what happens moving forward. I don't want to automatically assume what happened in AEW is going to be what happens in WWE. I don't think that's fair.
I will say, he has, regardless of my take on the situation, I'm still going to watch his matches. He still has the ability to put on good matches, and he proved that in AEW. I'm still going to have my eyes glued on the screen when he wrestles, and he absolutely has the ability to prove me wrong.
I think so too. What about you, Clayton? What do you think?
for the entirety of his AEW tenure, I would say that it was a classic case of projecting what you wanted out of an environment rather than what it actually was.
Yeah.
Like when he says he's working with children, it's because there's on the low end 70% chance that before the promo with Adam Hangman Page, they didn't talk about what they were going to say.
No, not at all.
And then the stuff with Jungle Jack Perry, it's just the little stuff where if you talk about it, you don't feel like somebody's going into business for themselves. But because they didn't talk about it, then yeah, he's going to sit in a scrum and feel like he's working with children.
Yeah.
Because in WWE, they'll talk every facet, or not necessarily every facet, but like have a general outline, get in the ring the day before, whatever it is they're going to do, kind of talk through it. And for all intents and purposes, it looks like AEW just does what Ric Flair does with his promos. Just, I don't talk about it. We're just going to go out there and just, I'm
What
going to feel
happens,
it out.
happens.
Well, especially a veteran. I mean, yes, he was gone for what at the time 7 years before his return to AEW, but like your aspect of talking about how they probably should have talked about what they were doing before they actually did it, from someone who he would have never worked with, they probably should have set some ground level.
I will say one take.
Don't
One
make
take.
eye contact with me while you're sucking on that ring pop.
To Clayton's point a little bit too.
Video pod exclusive.
Yeah.
No, I was about to bite down on it and I would have broken all my teeth. To Clayton's point, there is a difference between
That a little closer.
complaining than you can actively complain, but you can also seek active change. With active change, you're going about yourself and trying to show others why a certain way of working or a certain way of doing something is going to benefit the company and the talent around you. He just went around and decided, hey, I'm going to bury everyone in my path. I'm going to bury these executives where I think at that point he's like, I don't care what I say. I don't care what they do to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They can kick me out, whatever. I don't think he should have gone about it the way that he did. I didn't know who Ace Steel was before that anyways.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I knew he was on the indies. Well, hey, let's put more people down, that being the Bucks and Omega, and I guess Christopher Daniels. And then let's also throw Colt Cabana in the mix because he hasn't been through enough.
Those two are always going to be tied together no matter what they do. But at this point, he's back in the WWE. He called it his home. That was probably the only part of his promo I took issue with. I really thought that was a little bit hypocritical. But other than that, I am excited that he's back in the WWE. I'm excited to see a lot of the fresh matchups that he's going to have.
I just don't want a world title match. I don't need him to win the Royal Rumble.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to Punk in the Rumble. But first, I want to make sure we take the time to cover the great week in wrestling we just had, including Raw Day 1. So, Zach, kind of do you remember a lot? Take us through Raw Day 1.
Well, Zach pulls up a refresher on day one.
I got it.
I would like to say that I like the implied more significance of this week than, like, say, a random week in August or April.
It felt like one big pay-per-view.
Just stretched out over a week. Even NXT had some tight angles going on, too.
Feels like we're actually on the road to WrestleMania, right?
Oh, can we talk about Triple H's quote-unquote special announcement video, or like hour-long special for the 2024 preview, and then all
Got
of a
announced
sudden...
before the actual
And then he just tweeted out, what was it, Money in the Bank somewhere
in Canada.
in Canada, and it's like, all right,
In Toronto,
But
Canada.
going into day one,
yes, going into day 1.
we got the very much needed match between Becky Lynch and Nia Jax.
Oh boy, put it in my veins. Becky Lynch versus
I've
Nia
only
Jax.
said that sentence for Randy.
Yeah. What a match it was. It was honestly match of the night. I think it was top tier. I think that was the first 5-star match of 2024 was Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch, mainly for the outcome.
The only thing I have to say is the cliche part of Becky getting busted open again.
This time from the inside. Sat on her so hard, popped a rib or something, spat out the blood.
I didn't like that sentence.
What, popped a rib?
Sat on her so hard.
Sat on her so hard she popped a rib.
I will say, Punk could take notes from Becky for putting over talent that not very many people.
Clayton, thoughts? And we're moving on.
Wow,
All right.
these microphones really pick up your sigh of disappointment.
Sigh of a difference.
Secretly he's a big.
We
Nia
move on
Jax
to
fan.
the filler arc of Shinsuke Nakamura, the villain of anime, versus Cody Rhodes,
Why do you call that a filler arc?
because we know it's not leading anywhere.
Oh, hold on.
And Nia Jax and Becky Lynch is.
That was a
I said
conclusion.
that.
That was a conclusion. And
You're-
honestly,
you said that's about Randy, right?
It
Not
was the
me.
right
I did not-
conclusion.
I did not want that match either.
that was the correct conclusion.
I think something has to start for it to be a conclusion.
It started 4 or
Yeah,
5
it
years
started in
ago.
2019.
Yeah, it started 5 years ago when she punched her and broke her nose,
So
creating the man.
yes, the character history, yes, but at this point, they're not even in the same plane of existence as talents.
Yeah, Nia Jax is well above. I get that, but sometimes you got to come down to a level like Becky Lynch in order to like give the rub.
If by rub you mean cause another injury, sure.
Okay,
That's
so
what happens when you're the best.
Nakamura, of course, doesn't come out this week, but it is announced that they will be fighting next week so that Shinsuke can move on to finish Cody's story.
Yeah. I was sarcastically questioning it. This is very much a filler story, and I don't really care for it, honestly.
I will not disagree that they will put on probably a really great match.
100%. It feels like this was their attempt at maintaining the level of importance that Shinsuke achieved when he was feuding with Seth, and I just don't feel it.
I think Shinsuke can't get above the match he had with Ricochet, to be honest. I think in recent history, that's the best he can do. I just think
the World Heavyweight Championship match with Seth.
I just think he's like not, and I hate to put it like this because going into NXT, I thought completely different, or I was indifferent about the situation. But he, with the competition that's in the WWE right now, he's not built to be a world champion.
If he didn't do it during that Seth feud, he was never gonna do it. He's never gonna be in the main event like that again, and he's never gonna get the world title.
Two things. One, incorrect. When he couldn't beat AJ Styles for the belt in 3 consecutive pay-per-views,
I agree with that.
he was not a main event talent then. 1. 2, and this is probably going to get me some looks, but Shinsuke Nakamura is a tall Tajiri.
Yeah, that one probably won't get you some looks. You're right about
How
that.
many? Hold on, just because I'm curious, how many Tajiri matches do you remember?
It's not about the Tajiri matches. It's
There's some
about the
pretty good
things that he
Tajiri
does
matches.
in the match.
Let me-
Poison Mist. Painted Mist.
I get
Buzzsaw kick. Needed back at the head that we
No.
call Kinshasa. Like, at a certain point, Shinsuke is where he is because he is comfortable where he is.
I want to try to back up Clayton in certain ways, and then
I think the thing I take most issue with is I can't tell if him comparing to Tajiri was an insult or not, because it certainly shouldn't be.
It's
Tajiri was
not.
great.
For how they're trying to present Shinsuke right now, yes, it is an insult.
I will use one better, I guess. Japanese strong style does not correspond with the fans that well.
Not WWE fans.
No.
NXT did.
When
With
Guila-
NXT, yes.
when Guila comes over and she gets her NXT program and then she goes up to the main card, we're going to revisit this because she will get over.
Then I don't like. There are so many people that you could say it just doesn't like. Timothy Thatcher's strong style didn't work well either.
Like, it's not going to mesh with everybody. I totally
No.
accept that, but it's part the talent, Shinsuke being comfortable where he is, and it's part him being given quality stuff to work with. He was kneecapped by losing the 3 consecutive pay-per-views to AJ Styles with dumb losses. It wasn't just the losing, it was the dumb losing. Then you couple that with whatever he's doing now, because we're just not interested.
It's the cleanest character work that he's ever done in the WWE, but it's not going to go with a reward to it. Like, there's nothing coming out of it, which sucks. If he did this heel work at the beginning, it would have transcended to me.
Yeah, I
Thanks,
agree.
It's
Vince
so
McMahon.
cool because I like the little, the manga style, anime style stuff that they add to his promo, and it works for me, but not at this point in his career.
Yeah, I agree. The Shinsuke boat has sailed, and he'll never win a world title in the WWE.
If I'm being, this may be a really hot take. I don't think if you bring over people like a Shingo, if you bring over like a Okada, if you bring people like those over, I don't think they win a world title either. And that may be, I don't know if that's a hot
No.
take or not, but like Okada's been the best wrestler in the world, but at the same time where people's like, oh, how could you say that? Shinsuke was also the best wrestler in the world according to everyone at one point too.
Yeah, well, and honestly, just to kind of loop it back around a little bit, I think that's why AEW does need to exist, because that's the market where people from Japan can come over and get success in the main event of an American show. I just don't see WWE doing that.
Shoot, honestly, for the American audience too, the guy they're pushing the most over there right now, besides Tanahashi just won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Eddie Kingston. They're pushing the hell out of him.
Yeah.
There's no way that would translate to the WWE. Absolutely freaking
And
not.
that's where I think if they are to send Shinsuke into the sunset with the teases that they have had for Okada to like come into WWE, I would say that a WrestleMania match between them two to then write off would be the best thing for either of them.
Yeah, we'll see.
But moving on, we got a little reunion this Raw of the Awesome Truth.
What a great heel tag team.
But
What a great face
the
tag team.
comedy of our
Yeah.
Truth shined, of course, out of this whole thing because the whole Judgment Day thing in him is
It's such
pure
a
gold.
good storyline. I love the idea that R-Truth stumbles ass backwards into the Judgment Day, and the whole JD McDonough isn't in it anymore because he won that match a couple weeks back. Everything going on with R-Truth and the Judgment Day right now, I love, because it really shows the dynamic range of what the Judgment Day has, because you have the super serious Damian Priest and Rhea and what's going on with Finn, but then you also have the Dominic and the JD that's like doing this thing with R-Truth. I'm a fan.
And
I love
Dominic
it.
can't help but just
Yeah,
outburst.
he loves it too.
yeah. I like the dynamic a lot. Of course, Judgment Day should be taken as a serious faction, but throwing in the little sprinkle of comedy, it helps.
That's good.
Is he actually in? Is he actually in the Judgment Day?
Who, JD or R-Truth?
Yeah, he
Technically,
did
by
lose the
ruling-
match.
In
Technically, by
canon?
ruling, JD McDonough is not
Yeah.
in Judgment
In
Day.
canon, the 5 members of the Judgment Day is Priest, Rhea, Finn, Dominic, and R-Truth,
Not JD.
not JD McDonough.
That's
Just because
crazy.
JD McDonough drops common loot.
That's rough, but true.
So
He's
moving
such a
on,
good
He's a
wrestler.
human-sized bobblehead.
we got a sleeper match between Rhea Ripley and Ivy Nile for the women's heavyweight championship.
Dude, everyone knew that match was going to be killer.
For the first singles match for Ivy Nile being the world heavyweight championship match, at least on the
Yeah.
main roster, we know how
There
good
were
she is.
there were a couple like little botches here and there, but overall, I think it was a very good first showing for her.
Yeah, definitely. That is how you show somebody off without completely nosediving them off the cliff. To me,
Speaking of the Strong style stuff and just like overall, when Diamond Mine got formed, it was Tyler Rust, Suzuki was one of them.
wasn't
Roderick Strong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Roderick Strong is such a good wrestler. Like
Yeah.
he really is, but again, too small to like get anywhere. And that's kind of been his whole career, if we're being
Yeah.
honest. When they added the Creeds, and when
Creed
they
brothers.
added Ivy Nile,
God, they're so good.
they're so good.
I-
It's so I could have called that.
They
Julius
deserve
Creed is
everything.
a freak of
right.
nature, dude.
Cannonball tag team finisher. Good tag team finisher or no?
Dangerous tag team
It
finisher.
is not.
That is not the
especially
question
with-
I asked.
Good.
or bad?
I think good.
It is good. I like it too, but it
I
is
do not
dangerous
like
as
it.
hell. Because it's dangerous?
because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Literally, Damien was holding his head the whole time after that happened.
Yeah. What about you, Clayton?
I mean, it's just a dangerous move. It's just there's less you can control.
That's true.
But it is out of the current tag teams right now, with the exception of what did Ivar and Eric do at WrestleMania? They did a springboard kick into a German suplex. Like outside of that, it's the most believable tag team finisher right now.
100%.
My favorite tag team finisher is actually a women's tag team finisher, and it's Isla Dawn.
Who?
That is
Oh,
very
yeah.
good.
No,
That is a
I'm
very
sorry.
good finisher.
I'm sorry. Who?
Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
Who?
Hey, they're back on TV now, so it's a little different. But
Who?
Yeah.
I
The
know.
witches.
There's an
But
owl
They're the
here.
witches.
it's basically
Who?
his sister Abigail while
Owl.
being held up by the other person.
Are you kidding me? My favorite tag team finisher is the Roman and Solo spear
Spike
thumb
spear.
spike. It's just because if you look at how well protected both of those finishers are, if they happen at the same time, theoretically the person taking it should just be dead. Like, I'm sorry. It's insane.
So it's time to never hinder gender.
Dude, biggest return of 2024 already will be for the rest of the year. It will not be topped. Jinder Mahal returns on Monday Night Raw. Gets a town to boo its own national anthem. Hilarious. That was so good.
You just don't see trolling like that on WWE
was
TV
so
that often.
Good. Especially
We
because
get the whole, false return to get the real return, but
right, but no one expected it to be The Rock.
No, I
I didn't.
certainly didn't. I thought it was
I
going to
actually
be
thought it was
Batista
gonna
Hall
be
of
Stone
Fame.
Cold or Batista, so
I thought it was going to be Batista for
I
his
did
Hall of
too.
Fame induction. I had it's because it's one thing like if you start base level, like if you start here and then it's The Rock, but you start here and then it's Jinder and then it's The Rock, it's so much better. It's crazy.
you heard the sigh. It was a
No,
literally
you heard
prolonged
everyone just the
sigh.
air leave the room. Here's the thing, because they didn't show the Tron or the entrance, and it had been a while since I heard Jinder's theme song. I thought it was the Great Khali.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
I was like, "Yo, it's the Great Khali. What is he doing here? Why?" And then it was Jinder Mahal.
Well, supposedly I didn't know this, but Jinder had changed music for a while, and this was him kind of gaining his music back.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, did he
He
change
had-
it when he was managing that tag team?
Probably. But as you had said, The Rock did return after Ginger shenanigans to a really good crowd. The crowd
Yeah,
loved it.
they killed it.
I mean, we can talk about what he said and what him and Jinder did the whole time, but the whole thing was what he had said after the fact. He said he wanted to go eat somewhere.
Yeah.
And he wanted a little bit of help figuring out where he wanted to sit.
Honestly, when I was watching that, I was like, this is so awkward. Like, why do we care where you're going to sit? And then I like a wrestling fan who isn't an online mark, I just missed it. Like watching back now, I'm like, oh, it's obvious. He's going to
When
say
he
head at
got
the
to
table.
the booth, I was like, he's about to say it.
I still didn't.
Hold
It
on.
wasn't until he said it that I was like, oh.
He wants to sit at the head of Logan Paul. Isn't that what that means?
Oh, yeah, because Logan Paul
Logan
is the
Paul
table.
is the table.
Brother,
great.
I am the table.
Clayton, thoughts?
The real question is Elimination Chamber or Mania?
We need to get a button program that says Clayton thoughts.
Yeah.
Ooh, Clayton thoughts. Clayton, that would be funny. Yeah. So let's take this time to dive into it. So we have a couple different matches right now that are kind of on the horizon involving a bunch of people. Right? Roman Reigns, The Rock, Seth, Cody, Punk.
Seth, Cody, and Punk?
No, not together, but like the list of people that we're trying to
So,
figure out what they're going to do for Mania and
Randy
all
and
that.
I were talking about this, and you even said you and Clayton were talking about it too. I want to go over each scenario and you give me a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay.
So, one dream scenario is
He's pre-thumbing down.
Randy
Convince me.
wins at the Rumble to then it be Cody versus Randy and Rock versus Roman at Mania without the title.
I'm staying here. I'm right in the middle of that. I'm not thumbing down, but I'm not for it either.
I'm here too.
Yeah, this is exactly where I am for that.
Second scenario.
Yeah.
Roman wins at Rumble. We get Rock Roman at Chamber to then have Cody Roman at Mania.
I'm more for that. I'm gonna tilt up.
I am more for that.
I'm on that level only because of the story repercussion from it.
I don't need The Rock and CM Punk returning, ruining a year-long storyline for Cody Rhodes.
Okay, now this last one is a two-parter, and it's Roman doing a two-nighter or at Mania. But which order does it go in? And we had talked about this too. Does Roman Rock happen night 1 and Cody Roman happen night 2, or vice versa?
Doesn't Roman need 2 months off though before he can?
Before you can have another match.
Yeah.
I want the head of the table to go before the title match.
I mean, this is the exact scenario everyone thought they were getting last year. Somehow, the
Now,
build-up
this is the reason why I want the match to happen at Chamber, then Cody Roman at Mania, because I want the story built that Roman has nobody left.
Yeah.
I want it to be that the reason Cody lost the year before was because he had Solo in his back corner.
Clayton, thoughts?
The undisputed WWE Universal Championship will have a cash-in at Mania.
Okay.
Damian Priest may not be the one cashing in.
Who cashes in? How does
Power
he lose
thought.
that briefcase?
Power thought.
Hold on. Let him answer that question real quick.
I have, with the way WWE is right now, you could absolutely do Rock Roman at Chamber and go right on to 40 doing Cody Roman. You could put Cody and Roman next to each other. Doesn't really matter how it happens. Cody's just on SmackDown now. Cool. But we all cannot deny that Rock Roman is a WrestleMania main event.
Right.
Because it's a WrestleMania main event, Cody can't finish the story unless he somehow gains acquisition of Senior Money in the Bank's briefcase.
I wouldn't like that.
Doesn't Cody's character kind of scream the integrity level that doesn't want his world title run to be based off of a cash-in, though?
Sure, if he's staying face.
Well, and then my
Tough.
whatever, back to that is that the only thing people are looking past Chamber for is it's at the Chamber, but they are in a bigger stadium than Mania's even in, for the Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think they can have that match there and it not be crazy.
What about
Plus,
Yeah.
with the last main event that The Rock had being 11 years ago,
Yeah.
11 years younger, and he had a whole year to prepare for it.
Yeah.
You've seen how winded he was after one spine buster.
But the People's Champion, him, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, all clearly have the same trainer.
Yeah.
But in that sense, I do think that getting the match done sooner rather than later and at a peak WrestleMania where the match could not be very well, my thought level pulls it back to Chamber again.
Well, Eddie had a power thought, though. What are you thinking, Eddie?
I had a power thought that kind of went over my head at the same time because in my head I'm thinking, okay, when he says he's going to finish the story Does the story have to be with Roman? That was my initial thought.
I don't think it
Because-
has to be with Roman, but I think it does have to be with the WWE Championship and not the World Heavyweight Championship.
Correct.
My thought was at Elimination Chamber, let's say Seth Rollins wins, Damian cashes in Money in the Bank at Elimination Chamber, then Senor Money in the Bank goes to WrestleMania, Cody goes to WrestleMania, Cody wins. That was my initial thought process, but again,
Yeah, I thought the same thing. A cash in at right now, what makes the most sense to me is a World Heavyweight Championship cash in at Chamber, especially if Seth loses the match first.
definitely.
I don't think we're not going to Mania without it being Punk versus Seth for the title.
I don't think you have to incorporate a title into that, personally.
I don't think you do, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, honestly, because it's the same. To me, Rock Roman is the same side, or is the other side of the coin from Seth Punk. It
just
doesn't
doesn't need a belt.
need the belt,
Yeah.
but that coin is the belt that they hold respectively. So whatever that match is going to happen, in both cases, it's going to be for the belt. And in Seth and Punk's case, while they are, in my opinion, laying the foundation now, or has been for the past couple weeks, for them to just have a match for storyline reasons, I just don't see that match happening without the belt involved. And if the belt's going to be involved, I think, honestly, that both belts are going to be defended each of the next 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah, I think so too.
And they're, I hate saying this, the belts aren't changing hands. They're going to be defended the next 3 pay-per-views, and they're not changing hands.
The fan in me wants the Randy thing to happen, but I know it won't.
Seth should not hold that title past Mania.
I don't
Not
know.
past
Seth,
Mania, no.
if Seth carries the title to Mania, he's not walking out with it because he's
I
going to
hope
take a
not.
break.
Yeah.
But the desire of most people to not see Punk as champion, I mean, that's...
I think a lot of people want to see Punk as champion,
I do.
especially if
I'm
it's the
saying.
World
I
Heavyweight
just think
Championship.
you're putting it on him too fast. And maybe that's just me thinking out loud.
I mean, they put it on him in like his first or second match in AEW, didn't they?
yeah, but that's AEW. And
And I
Tony
thought that was too
Khan-
fast then too. But
All right.
well, what about Raw? Anything else happening on Raw?
I'm going to skip over the next match because, again, it means nothing, but Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark defeated Tegan Nox and Natalya.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
And then getting to another Drew McIntyre championship match loss.
Dude, when he hooked that leg and his foot went on the rope and the ref stopped counting, because I know we had seen that spot once before, but my heart did break a little bit.
That's one of the best false finishes we've gotten.
I was like, there's no way. Because everything lined up perfectly. I was like, this is it. They're actually going to do it. And then he hooked him too far and put his foot on the rope. And heartbreaking. Because I do want to see Drew be a world champion in front of people.
He's not going to get it back. I just couldn't see him getting it back anytime soon.
This seems like the perfect title for him.
It absolutely seems like the perfect title for him. And I thought if they were to have, again, no offense to Seth, but I'm over Seth. I think we're all a little Sethed out.
Yeah, not in a bad way either. Not like the last time where he had to go heel and become the Messiah or whatever.
Yeah.
But I am just ready for this new World Heavyweight Championship to start changing hands a little bit.
That was Drew's title. If
100%.
anything, I think the only reason Drew went back to that company is because he was promised another main roster, like a kind of a main card push.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, he is the hottest commodity that you could lose in the next like couple years.
I can see that.
Like that's just my take. I think if he goes anywhere, I really couldn't see him going anywhere. That's the thing. Like he left, he went away, then he came back, and it's like it's really hard to see him anywhere else.
This is where he belongs. What do you think?
I hear you on Drew, Eddie. I do. But within the last calendar month, that man went out to the ring in a kilt and left the ring without his kilt. And for me, probably the most casual viewer out of the four of us, that just didn't, like from an appearance standpoint, didn't really gel for me. Though I understand, yeah, he was rolling around the ring, whatever, but like that can't happen. And then to be that close to winning the championship and then you overhook somebody's leg, on the one hand, yes, great false finish. On the other hand, he's too talented for that to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just in the space of I don't care with Drew. He's money. He can go anywhere and be money, but he does belong in WWE. I honestly can't see him winning a title this calendar year. That isn't a title he's already won.
I agree with that. It's like he's done everything he possibly could, and he did it in the time of WWE history that does not matter as much to anyone.
Yeah.
Which sucks because he's probably the best, I think the best championship story.
One of them.
I think the best championship story until Cody Rhodes wins his title that we have seen.
When Cody wins his title,
Yeah.
that's going to be the biggest title win
Is
of
your
our
thought-
generation.
Is your thought for Drew at this point, if we are getting some marquee match for him, is it going to be him and Gunther at Mania?
No, Gunther's
No.
facing Brock at Mania.
Okay.
I still
Which
believe in
I
that
believe
too.
that too. I was just saying, if Drew was to even get a match at Mania, like
Drew's looking like a prime candidate to win the Lollapalooza Captain Crunch Cinnamon Toasty Biscuit Battle Royale.
Drew's going to win whatever the
Like, tell me-
advertised gimmick match is.
yeah,
That or he's this
getting
year's
the
Bobby
Bobby
Lashley.
Lashley, yeah.
Because what hurts Drew the most, more than winning the title over Brock in the Thunderdome, is that and as much as we hate to say it, merchandise selling is a part of it. And the fans' wallet is showing that they don't care about Drew.
yeah.
Because he's not even, and I haven't looked at him in a hot minute, but my understanding is he's not even
not
top
top
10. That matters.
I bet there are two things
That's the
that would
missing piece for him right now that's separating him from having a belt or not having the belt. He's not leading in merchandise.
there are two things that would turn that around for him. One of them is the belt, but that's not what has to happen first. What has to happen first is he gets Broken Dreams back and they do a t-shirt about Broken Dreams. If they give him Broken Dreams and then give him the belt, he'll go into top 10 merch if the shirt relates to that.
Dog, he looks like a Greek god. He comes out to the ring, toy, not real metal, whatever, but he comes out to the ring with a goddamn sword, and he gets a flying big boot as a finisher. He is the quintessential atypical model of a male wrestler now,
Yeah.
and isn't over in every capacity.
I'm telling you, if he switches to that song, he'll be more over than he could possibly imagine.
Well, I also think it's like you have to put him back over, in my opinion. Like you made it Brock look weak to him.
100%.
Who do you have to make look weak to Drew McIntyre?
I'd ask a better question. Rather than who you could do it, who would bring the most value to it? Because if I'm just thinking of the current landscape right now,
Gunther, in my opinion.
I think so.
I think it was Gunther. I think that orbit was never hotter than it was last WrestleMania.
And the triple threat.
And it wasn't just Sheamus who didn't get his anything capitalized on. It was also Drew. Because Gunther had a program with The Miz and kept going up. Not to say that Miz is bad or anything. Miz is great for building that, but then you can't do that with
Right.
Drew. You can't take somebody from the main event scene right now, have them lose to Drew, or do a program with Drew that Drew comes out on top of, and you're like, Give him a belt now.
I think Drew is gonna take. I think after this loss on Monday, even though it might not necessarily make the most storyline sense, given that he did have the win, I think Drew's about to take a step back.
Yeah.
I think Drew's gonna take a step back. At least if he's not taking a break, he's at least gonna take a step back from the main event, which is why I think Gunther makes sense.
I think his best course of action is to go away and let people forget that he's even there for a while.
I think so too.
Yeah.
There's a point in anyone's push where if you can't go up anymore, you need to just let it go down.
Yeah.
And it needs to just go down to a point that he's not there.
Take
And
a break.
Plus with the contract talks and everything too, the speculation would bring back up a good point for him.
If he takes a break and comes back with broken dreams, I think he'll be in a good spot.
So
That should be it for
that's
Raw.
all
though,
for Raw.
for day one. Overall, I'd say it was a solid A show. I don't even think B plus. I think it was an A show.
Yeah, I would say so.
Good job, WWE. Good job, Trips. I know you're watching.
New Year's Revolution.
Smackdown, New Year's Revolution.
This show, in my opinion, was a bit more packed.
Also a thumbs up show.
Sneaky.
This one will
better
run
than
down a
Raw.
little bit more because we can talk tidbits about everything that went on.
Yeah.
But number one contendership finals for the United States Championship. You had Escobar versus Kevin Owens.
With Logan Paul on commentary.
The table.
The table at the table.
And honestly, Kevin Owens winning the match was the right idea, even though Escobar could have taken this and went somewhere with it with his new faction as well. I would rather much see Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul.
Yeah, well, especially because the LWO members interfered. It makes more storyline sense that we're going to get Santos and his group versus LWO and have that feud at least for a couple weeks.
Sorry to go off topic. Did you see Joaquin Wilde get absolutely launched on NXT?
Yeah. That was insane.
Oh my
Speaking
gosh.
of that, Carlito returned with
Yeah.
LWO on NXT, which means that they should be starting that package sometime soon.
Yeah.
But moving forward in that, we get Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits coming out to proclaim their 2024 status.
What a crazy
New year,
segment.
knew them.
Yup.
I think this is the start of the tag team belt splitting storyline too. I think that's all but confirmed at this point, is that we're going to get the tag team belts to split.
We're going to get the SmackDown titles back on SmackDown and the Raw titles back on
Because-
Raw.
TikTok, baby.
Because of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's
What happened in
finally
this
time.
segment?
Yeah.
What happened in this segment?
Well,
It's finally time. That's what that means.
the return of Eddie's favorite little man, Karrion Kross. And this time he brought Paul Ellering with him.
Thank goodness.
And
You
we
gave-
know Paul Ellering doesn't stay very far away from the Authors of Pain.
Which I've been a fan of all of the people in that group for a long time.
Yeah.
And we knew AOP was re-signed a long time ago, but they never were.
Were they the first Triple H re-signing?
pretty much
One of
other
the
than
first.
Nia Jax.
Yes, no,
Or
you're right.
Nia Jax was the last Vince signing.
Yeah, Nia Jax was the last Vince signing. Props to Vince. And then Triple H, I think his first signing was AOP. One of the first, if it wasn't the first.
Of course, they demolished Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, playing on the fact that Bobby Lashley beat Karrion Kross in the tournament.
Yeah, which feels weird to like because I do like Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, but I'm a fan of whatever this new faction is going to be because I don't think there are enough factions in WWE.
if you're not going to put over Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, which they've had so many opportunities to do, then this is what it's got to be.
Well, I don't think that because like Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits haven't done anything since they've gotten together, and then you got Karrion Kross, who has been on an absolute losing streak, and also coming into this faction of people that need wins. So whoever loses out of that's not going to look any better than they did going into it.
Yeah, it's just one failed faction trying to support a new faction that's created of failed parts.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. What do you think?
That entire segment, and say it with full chest, that entire segment was the island of misfit toys.
100%, yeah.
My issue, I love AOP. I loved them when they had Paul Ellering. I, for a time, enjoyed Carrion and Scarlet. My problem with that faction is, and I was thinking about this on the way over here, the last time there was a faction that had 2 managers in it
I was thinking that.
was probably JBL's chief of staff.
Yep, exactly.
When before Orlando Jordan started wrestling, it was him and
Amy Weber.
Amy Weber.
Amy Weber.
That's the last faction I can think of in recent memory that had 2 managers. And Scarlett Bordeaux and Paul Ellering serve the same purpose just for their parts of the faction. So if you're a brand new faction that's to be assessed and I'm looking at your faction can already split it into parts, that's a problem.
Well, I mean, you could do that with the Judgment Day, though. But they only have the one.
They really only have the one part.
Yeah.
Mommy and Dami. Like, that's it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. But overall, I'm excited to see what that kind of feud is going to do moving forward.
Does this
Sorry,
mean a
one more thing. Karrion Kross's new finisher is fucking stupid.
I feel like it just. I feel like
too
he just.
long.
Yeah, I
The
feel
only
like.
part I hate about it is the prep.
Yeah, the
The
pump handle
actual
part.
finisher is completely awesome to me.
He doesn't need the pump handle part, and it didn't help that he was doing it to Bobby Lashley first, who just is
a
one
suit.
giant muscle that is not very flexible.
His Doomsday Saito into the sleeper, I
Yeah.
guess. That was good. That was fine.
You can keep that.
Saito was fantastic.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be honest with you, I honestly don't know what this new finisher even looks like.
It was
Tells
a
ya.
pump handle.
He did it before.
Pump handle F5 would probably be the closest.
That's what I was going to
description.
say. It was a
DDT.
pump handle that didn't quite do a fireman's carry, but he turned into an F5.
You know how Jeff Cobb just spins people around like
Yeah.
an absolute maniac? Is it kind of look like?
No, well, it probably could be if he did it to the right person, but with Bobby Lashley, it just looked awkward.
Awkward and slow.
All right, I'm going to give a maybe not a hot take, but a take that I don't want to admit. When I thought the Street Profits would get partnered with Lashley, I'm like, okay, they're going to start winning. All they have done was unenhanced Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, you expected Street Profits to get risen up, and instead Bobby Lashley got brought down, and that
Yeah.
sucks.
It
The
is
whole
terrible.
thing is just like, I didn't like the whole dynamic of, oh, Bobby's watching from the back. Oh, he's making sure they're doing their deed, but they're not winning.
Well, the faction is missing a very integral and important part, and it's MVP.
Yeah, and
That faction needs MVP
It's
to
so
function.
moss.
they were trying to put in, they're trying to put in BFAB too, which like she's been completely missing.
Yeah, there was also, I don't know if it's probably not going to be on your recap, but the that Ashanti segment,
the Adonis.
Ashanti to the Adonis segment
Wherever
with
that's
Nick
going.
Aldis. I'm not sure where that's going. Maybe to a
Oh, I'm glad they're using
failed
that.
Gunther title shot or something. I could see them.
Well, wrong show.
Oh yeah, you're
United
right.
States title.
I meant United States shot at some point. I could see him getting a failed mid card title shot, but like
He'll win the
showing well.
Lollapalooza snickerdoodle.
Yeah, he'll win the cinnamon toast crunch ladder match for the cereal
Yeah.
box.
Here's the progress now, by the way.
But moving on.
Yeah.
Again, sleeper match that was very, very good for what it was. Io Sky taking on Michin.
Such a good match.
I'm still not calling her Meechin.
I loved it. That match, there were a couple of clunky, little awkward spots because it looked like maybe they weren't communicating properly with each other. But other than that,
They put on really good matches before.
yeah, that match was killer. I loved it.
The Styles Clash from the top.
You remember the
Yeah.
ladder match for the War Games advantage? Do you remember when Mia Yim and Eos?
Meechin.
Vaguely.
Oh my god, that was such a good match.
Her name's Meechin.
I know I
Don't
love that
tell me what
match.
to do.
And yeah, that suicide dive bump was crazy.
The both women's title matches this week were perfect showings of other talent without completely destroying their momentum. Like, Meechin could stay on TV now, and she would be perfectly a part of it. So would, what's her name? I already forgot it. Ivy Nile. But it was just really good. I hope that they keep doing that to the point that, like, we actually start caring about the people that are in these matches.
Yeah, I agree.
But moving on, we get a little bit of a main roster debut. Pretty Deadly taking on Butch with his mystery partner, which
Byler Bate.
was Byler Bate.
Tyler Tate.
He is. Okay. This is not a hot take in my opinion. He is not made for the main roster.
He's not. NXT
not.
NXT was the perfect spot for Tyler Bate.
NXT UK. Was the
Tyler
perfect spot.
Tyler Bate is 2024's Ricochet. There's a ceiling he has. It's not very high. He's gonna get to it quick, and
You had Trent Seven with him. His ceiling would be higher, in my opinion.
yeah, maybe. But
Mustache
they're not gonna
Mountain
do that.
winning tag titles over Tyler Bate winning a singles title is so much.
They're not gonna do that.
Yep. Nope. It's not going to happen.
Tyler Bates already at his ceiling.
I agree.
You think
If
that was it? His ceiling was the debut.
No, I'm saying that he hit his ceiling before this debut. Because if you went to a live Raw, or I'm sorry, well, no, a live Raw or a SmackDown where they put a main event match on after the main program's done, you will have seen a Tyler Bate match. And if you have seen a Tyler Bate match, you've seen all of his matches.
I feel like he has a little bit of wiggle room here on the main roster because not a lot of people are gonna have seen those matches, but it's not very. He's not gonna. Honestly, his ceiling is gonna be lower than Ricochet's. Tyler Bates not gonna be an Intercontinental Champion. He's not gonna be a U.S. champ.
Think of the most recent call-ups. Dragon Lee has the most potential to do anything.
And I don't even honestly see him doing anything.
No, I don't either.
But yeah,
I don't see him doing that much.
nope.
But at the same time, I think it's the family aspect. Andrade is coming back probably.
Yep.
I think Andrade is going to come back. Dragon Lee is going to try to associate himself with Andrade. At some point, I think Roosh is going to come over. I think that will happen. And Roosh is a bad man who can win titles in WWE.
Probably.
Yeah, so I think that'll eventually happen. And then at this point, why don't we make 6-man tag titles? Like, we're getting there.
We're getting to the point where that's going to have to become a thing, but I don't think they could do it per show.
Bobby and the Street Profits. We got
The new AOP carrying
new AOP carrying cross. LWO, Legato. We have Judgment Day. We got so many. Like, it's getting up there.
We are starting to get to the point where you could have one set of 6-man tag team belts if you did it between Raw and SmackDown instead of having
the tag
one
belts, but
set.
then have one set of 6-man tag.
Yeah.
But moving into the main event, of course, we got Randy Orton versus AJ Styles versus LA Knight.
Yeah.
Really good match. We didn't expect it to not be. The ending, though, did we expect that?
Nick
Yes.
Aldis gave Paul Heyman one of these.
He was like, you, come here.
Don't touch me.
You, come here.
No, don't touch me.
I think the dichotomy between how Adam Pearce was and how Nick Aldis is enhancing the bloodline portions. I would argue that the thing that I've personally been asking for, the return of the aura of Thunderdome Roman, is here now.
Yep. Where he's actually going to start interfering. And
God
showing up.
mode.
No, it's just kind of like it started back at WrestleMania with his final boss entrance.
Yep.
Because when his music hit, peace out, Kevin Dunn. We don't need you if I can get a shot like that on SmackDown.
100%.
Randy looking
Deuces.
just that like teetering between God and just straight up depressed, knowing who's coming down. LA Knight barely being able to get to his hand, to a forearm and a knee.
And he was
blood
busted open.
blood
Yeah.
pouring down his face.
Yeah, WWE's doing color again. That's nice.
No, I
He
think
was actually busted open, like,
Yeah.
on accident.
the only reason why the match wasn't stopped so that they could do
Yeah.
what they have been doing when somebody gets busted open was because this was a specialized episode of TV.
Yeah, but I mean,
It was also the end of the match.
but Becky, between Becky on Monday as well, because that was probably fake. I think that was a blood pouch. That was
Oh,
fake
no.
blood.
That was real.
Was it?
No, it wasn't real.
Yeah, no. I think there even if LA Knight was busted open on accident, I think they're starting to go back to using color sporadically. It's not going to be week to week, but regardless, Bloodline comes down for the end of the match, interference, and then one of the coolest GM moments ever. Nick Aldis whispers over to Paul Heyman, "Hey, when your dude's done celebrating, tell him he just earned himself a fatal 4-way match."
Yeah, and that's what the GM aspect I missed was
100%.
reap what you sow.
And we got to meet him.
I hope Nick Aldis's fatal 4-way is Teddy Long's one-on-one with the Undertaker, and he just forces people into fatal 4-ways week after week. That'd be so fun.
yourself a
Fatal 4-way.
player.
I'll pick some opponents later.
Yeah,
That'd be so funny.
but we now have the fatal 4-way match, which we thought was just going to be Randy versus Roman. But
I think
now
that's
it's
an
all
interesting booking decision because I don't think anyone saw it coming, and that's sometimes what we need to do.
Well, if we're on the dynamic of Roman's needing time off / this is WrestleMania is going to be his last match for a while, it's probably to give him a break from
Nope.
a normal.
We got to stop saying that. We got to stop saying Roman needs a break or Roman's going to take a break or any of that other stuff. Like, yeah, he took off between essentially, what was that?
He had his break.
WrestleMania and what was the second one? Money in the Bank?
Something like that. Backlash.
Well, Backlash was the first one, but he didn't wrestle at Backlash. Like, he was off
Right.
till the second PLE. He is just he's on a different level.
No, I understand.
So I think what wasn't a possibility before Friday, that is a possibility now. And I mean, literally before Friday, there is a not 0% chance closing shot of Rumble is Rock Roman.
Yeah.
I would even go so far as to say it's a not 50% chance because it's a fatal 4-way. So the bloodline will be out there at some point.
They're going to have to be. If Roman can barely hang on to the title during one-on-one and fatal 4-ways are considered no disqualification matches, like Bloodline's getting involved here, but I also think The Rock is getting involved. I think we're going to see The Rock at the
I think
Rumble.
we're going to see the power struggle. I think it's going to be The Rock comes out and you got Solo staring at The Rock like,
Yeah.
oh, you're an elder.
Yeah.
What if we just have the biggest swerve of all time and The Rock somehow costs Roman?
So that was my other thing was it's interesting to do a fatal 4-way because this guy could pin this guy, protects Roman as this undefeated guy, but does take the belt off of him. You could do that.
And that's where I'm saying then Randy wins and then starts that whole thing.
Randy pins LA Knight or pins AJ, and then it's...
The distaste you have for someone cashing in on Roman is the distaste I have for him losing the belt.
I
It's
agree.
The thought of Damian Priest doing it. It's just I don't see that being the story.
No. He's talking about me because I've been saying for months now that this title reign cannot end with a cash in. In that same vein, I actually do agree. I don't think it should end with him not getting pinned. If Roman doesn't definitively lose that belt, then they did not use this title reign properly to put someone else over, i.e. Cody Rhodes. That's just how it is. Having someone pin someone else for Roman's belt does not solve any problems.
Thoughts, Maggie Simpson?
Yeah.
If Roman is to lose, I'd much rather hate Damian Priest cashing in on him. That just make no sense to me.
Yeah.
That'd make the least sense possible. At the same time, and I guess I just hate people who are returning all the time. I don't. If Roman has the title going into Mania and he goes off against The Rock, I would rather have Roman win.
Yeah, no, if Roman and Rock is for the title, Roman should win.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, in
Roman
that
is
scenario
going to
where
Yeah.
where Roman versus Rock happens at Mania for the belt, Roman wins and he surpasses Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he'll carry the belt through September at least and then lose it at like Survivor Series or something. I don't think he'll carry it to a third Mania.
I know you, Zach. When I say you're, and I'm pointing across the room.
Yeah.
I know you are somewhat as chronically online with the IWC as me. Roman Gunther, Bash at Berlin for Roman's belt.
Yeah.
Now,
would love
I can't
that.
remember the date situation. Is that after he beats Hogan?
That would be just under, I believe, a month before he would cross.
Yeah, 'cause it's in August.
Hogan's record.
That's in August. He has to hold it till September to beat
Then
Hogan's record.
I would want that match for the match. I wouldn't want it because Roman would win.
The thing is,
I don't know if you can definitively say Roman's going to win that match.
Only you think they would make him lose the belt a month before he surpasses the record?
Yes.
why not?
If the exchange for Roman not getting to Hogan's record by a month is you don't just strap the rocket to Gunther's back, you strap 4 rockets to Gunther's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's a decision where somebody's over for the next decade, no matter what
Okay.
you do with them.
Because
So-
that's an Ultimate Warrior situation.
So then, because we'd be past WrestleMania at this point, the same argument that we have for how Cody gets to SmackDown, are we just assuming that Gunther gets drafted to SmackDown after losing the IC belt then?
You could easily, or let me not say it the way I was going to say it. There is a very simplistic storyline justification. If Roman still holds the belt in August, he's like, oh, I want something new. Yeah. I'm going to you, Gunther, because you're the only one I actually look across the ring and see somebody that might be an equal. We're going to have a match. Like, Roman can go out and choose that match, and we just accept it as fans.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Dope. Well, that covers Raw Day 1, and that also covers New Year's Revolution on SmackDown. Any other final or parting thoughts before we send the lovelies home?
This is my progress. I'm sorry I didn't finish.
Hey, while you're giving the progress, why don't you also give them the socials?
Oh, yeah. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, and make sure to tune in with us each and every week on Spotify, Apple Music, and Podbean.
Bing.
Beans.
That was everyone's favorite edit for our 24 Days of Christmas, which, by the way, thank you all for the love and support that you gave us during the 24 Days of Christmas. That was a fun little project that we did. Thank you to Eddie for setting that up and hosting it. That was fantastic.
It's coming back for 2024.
2024 is going to be a big year for that and also for the Too Heavy Wrestling podcast overall. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks to our sponsor.
I'm eating some right now.
And we will see you soon.